Welcome to the A to Z of licensed games, a series of vids about games that take something from something else. Phew, glad I don't have to say that again. Anyway, this is it, the last video in the whole project, where we'll be covering one game and one game alone. And that game so happens to be a classic for the Sega Master System, Zillion. A fairly appropriate title, as I feel like that's pretty close to the number of games I've covered in the series. To be honest, I didn't know that this game was licensed at all until recently, but hey, it was. That's what comes from knowing nothing about anime, I guess. The show itself was even produced by Sega, so a game was obviously a no-brainer. And it turned out to be one of the best games you can get for the Master System, which as always remains a shockingly underrated system. The plot is easy enough to grasp. You play a blue-haired guy named JJ and your mission is to destroy a base. You'll do this by grabbing a load of floppies, reaching the main computer and making it all go kablooey. The game's like a big open maze where you'll have to level up your skills in order to reach everything. Sound familiar? Yes indeed, the game is quite a lot like Metroid when it comes to levelling up. However, Metroid is probably not the biggest influence on the game. Zillion is more like Impossible Mission, a game that predates Metroid by a couple of years. Like that game, Zillion uses computer terminals a hell of a lot. You have to use one in basically every room in order to open a door or turn off traps. There's a keyword in every room to open the door, and like Impossible Mission, they're randomised every time you play. So it would be fairer to say that the game's like that, only on a bigger scale. This is a much better game after all. To use the terminals, you'll need ID cards, lots of them, as any special command will eat them up. And to use the special commands, you gotta remember the codes, or write them down, or make your own system. Half the challenge of the game is trying to remember a key code while fighting your way through soldiers or traps, especially if you've set up a weird mnemonic system to try and remember them all. You know, magnet, jar, geyser, chest, arse, that sort of thing. Forget it and you'll have to go back and look at it again, which could mean having to trigger a sensor or wasting another ID card on a laser barrier. This aspect of the game is quite a unique touch that sets Zillion apart from its heavy influences. Of course, if you're playing it now, you may well decide to just abuse save states and ignore it completely, but one should resist that temptation, I reckon. And yes, the action's very good too. Early enemies aren't particularly difficult, you can simply duck and shoot them with ease, but it's not long before they get smarter about avoiding your shots and realising that you're crawling around on your belly. When you combine these goons with mines and gun turrets, yeah, you're gonna have a problem. Zillion is no picnic. The repetitive design of the base does make it quite easy to get lost, and if you lose concentration you can get wiped out in pretty short order. 3 continues is all you have, so yep, you'll have to be on point. Which of course isn't a problem. Just persevere with it. Maybe even dust off the old graph paper and make some maps. It's a very good game that still exudes old school charm and relies on old school methods. I never really played it in my childhood, but it still takes me back there, which is quite nice. The game was followed only a few months later by Zillion 2, The Triformation, a sequel that, of course, changed everything. The big open exploration is replaced by dull side-scrolling levels with a very bland colour scheme, the sort that makes it hard to figure out what you can actually jump on. There's an FM soundtrack and JJ looks bigger and everything, but yeah, it's not a very good game. It's boring and feels rushed. Perhaps the series wasn't as successful as Sega hoped and they had to just get this out as quickly as possible while it was still worth it. Who knows. In any case, this one's not particularly worth playing. Just stick with the original, which remains a thoroughly underrated gem. Zillion isn't just one of the best games on the Master System, it could easily duke it out with any of the NES's premier action titles. It's that good, and it's a great way to just wrap the list up. Whew. Well, it's been a journey, that's for sure. Over the past 30 or so videos, there's been tons of licensed games. There were a few bad ones, but hey, most of them were good. The question now though is, what was the point? Back when I started the series, I had a few ideas on that front. Firstly, I had a soft spot for licensed games in general, and I wanted to show off as many of the good ones as I could, perhaps just to say to people that hey, licensed games aren't all that bad. Secondly, it was the summer and I wanted another big project that I could get done, and hey, I've managed to achieve that. I mean, the project's over just in time for me to go back to my regular life. And in the main I was thinking, hey, I enjoy making vids about these sort of games, so yeah, let's do it. The approach might have been a little extreme, creating all these videos on licensed games, but, well, they did get done. Creating videos on licensed gaming has mostly been fun, although there have been times when I've neared burnout. However, it always seems like a game pulls me back from just abandoning it at just the right time. TIE Fighter did it for one, as did making the obscure Amiga game ads video, and The Walking Dead was perhaps the last thing to give me that final push over the line to convince me that hey, this hasn't all been a waste of time. It is worth playing these games and talking about them. Although of all the videos, the one I enjoyed making the most was probably the wrestling vid, mainly because that's been a long time coming. Even though it's the longest video by far, putting it all together was just a breeze. And what else have I enjoyed about making these videos? Funnily enough, the main thing I like about making these licensed game vids are the times when I can actually talk about something that's not games for a while. I feel that to cover games properly, especially licensed games, you need to put them in their proper context and establish a world around them for them to fit in, meaning you should go into real life territory for a minute or two. I've always tried to do that in my videos, and I think I've succeeded when I've done so. I only hope you guys feel the same way. There are of course things that I won't miss. I won't miss the endless game capture, or any time when my editing suite decided to give up the ghost in the middle of a project. And there are perhaps things I would have done differently. Maybe I'd have been even stricter and have just featured a good game and a bad game in every video instead of doing all the honourable mentions. And of course it'll probably be quite a while before I even so much as touch a licensed game again. But on the whole, things have been good rather than bad. I enjoyed myself and that's all that really matters. And of course there is one other thing that's kept the projects going, and that is you. Without your support and your comments, there wouldn't be a video series. Damn near all of you have just rocked the house, and you've often provided interesting comments on the videos yourself. I mean, do you know how rare that sort of thing is on YouTube? So of course, I want to thank you, and I want to ask you to keep the support going. Get the word out, spread it like a herd of angry elephants. Keep watching and keep following. I mean, you've just seen an insane, crazy series on YouTube followed all the way to completion, and you should know that doesn't happen very often. And you also know that this sort of standard is what you should expect and continue to expect from me. So the only way is up. And if you happen to be a newcomer, hell, if you're someone who's just bombed your way through every single one of these videos, because I know it happens sometimes, well, you know what to do. So to everybody, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and all of that good shit. I'm off to, well, chill out a little. But as a highly stereotypical JRPG character once said, there ain't no getting off of this train we're on. So, until we meet again, I will leave you, as ever, with wherever you are, whoever you be, have a good one, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.